Hi, I'm Libby Gibson. Welcome to Front Up. I am guest hosting today on Geno TV, Channel 99, and my guest is Paula Leary. Paula is the administrator of the Nantucket Regional Transit Authority. Some people call it NERDA. I usually say the whole thing.
I do too.
No, I say NRTA is what I say. But some people say NERDA. Some people say the WAVE. I've heard more people calling it the WAVE recently. So Paula, tell us about the WAVE. You've been in operation for the 2017 season for 2 weeks?
Yep, just about. Yep.
You started
23rd year.
23rd year.
Years. Yep.
Now, and you've been the administrator for how many of those years?
22.
But Paula, you must have started when you were about, what, 10?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
You hired me when you were 10.
I hired you when I was 10. That's so funny that we were so young at running stuff. Now, did the shuttle start earlier this year?
We started about a week early, so
Okay.
we started May 15th, which coincided with the downtown parking regs, which is always good.
Yep.
Get people on the bus and used to that when there's parking enforcement downtown.
And so are there any changes for this season?
Not really, other than
Route-wise?
starting earlier. Of course, as you know, we're not operating the ferry connector this year, so that's really the only changes. We'll be adding frequency a little earlier in the season, like on the Mid-Island and Myakomet Loop, which are our busiest routes and carry just about 50% of our ridership.
Which routes?
Mid-Island and Myakomet.
Mid-Island, Myakomet, yes.
Yep.
Myakomet's my route.
Yep.
Now, what about the drivers? Are you set? Did you get caught in the? I want to say H1N1, but I know that's not what it is.
No.
The
Although it
visa
felt like
situation.
that.
I know. H2B, is that what it's called?
We did. So we had, of course, no employees through that program and no returning drivers through that program. So the operator of the company, VTS, and its GM, Chris Boyton, who they do a fabulous job for us. The community should be very proud of their commitment to our service, but they hit a lot of job fairs and enticed some drivers from other communities to come out for the summer to drive for us. Of course, then the issue becomes housing.
Right.
And where do they live?
Yeah.
So that deterred a lot of people, not only in availability, but affordability of the housing. But we should be, through their efforts, we should be in pretty good shape.
You would think being a driver might be attractive to maybe a retiree who obviously drives, or maybe college kids do college, but they have to have the housing. But like local people, is there?
We have a few. We have a handful that have been with us kind of from the beginning, the retirees, and then some come and go over the years. The college students, we don't get too many of those anymore because they need to leave the middle of August. And we're still full service through Labor Day, so that's always difficult. But we've got a good crew. When you don't get the returning drivers, it's a lot of time in training and permitting and licensing. Because
they have to get a CDL?
They have to get a CDL, passenger endorsement, and that's just a small part to drive the bus. You know, it's route knowledge, fare box usage, the destination signs, customer service, ADA, wheelchair lift securement, on and on and on. It's not just
driving
being
the bus.
able to drive
you
the
got to
bus.
know a lot of other stuff. So over the years, the technology that you've used has ramped up. And you have an app now. I use the app all the time. It's very helpful, but I did notice the other day it said I had to update it, but but there was some problem with some system. It wouldn't let you update it. I'll show it to you later.
You're talking to somebody that has a 4G with no updates, and I can't download any apps on my phone.
You don't have an iPhone 4, do you?
I do. It still works for me.
Well, I shouldn't talk because I have a 5, but still.
No, the phone app has been great. I think a lot of people use it. They rely on it other than the rider's guide.
It's pretty accurate. If anybody, is trying to figure out what time their bus gets there, where they are, it's really accurate.
It's GPS real time, and you can set the app for your stop, so you know when it's going to arrive. You can set alerts. Now, so that you know when the bus is coming. It's really helpful, especially if you're waiting at your stop because you think your bus should have been there by now, but you can see where it is, and it gets hung up in traffic sometimes. It takes the anxiety out of, did I just miss it?
Yeah.
When's another one coming? Especially on the routes that aren't as frequent.
Yes, exactly. So what else has changed in 23 years of running the system? You've moved your office a couple times.
Moved the offices a couple of times.
The passes, the fare boxes are different. Now, can you pay with cash?
Yes.
Yes, but it has to be exact change, or no?
If it's not exact change, we issue a change card for future rides only.
Okay.
Never, ever cash back.
So, try to get a pass or have exact change, because let me just tell you, when you're trying to fumble around with your cash because you don't have the exact change or you don't have a pass, you're holding everything up. And the bus won't really go until you deal with your fare.
How much is
right?
it?
Routes are $1 or $2, and then there's some discounts for different categories. We have several categories of season passes that are very reasonably priced, and then we have the short-term passes that are available right on the bus for 1, 3, and 7 days. We also have a bill breaker in the Greenhound building that will make,
there you go.
make
no
dollars
excuse for not
change.
having
20s,
exact
10s, and 5s will break down to 5s and
And
1s.
the fare box can give you a lot of information, but you also have GPS tracking on the buses,
Yes.
right? So if you get complaints from people who say the bus was speeding on whatever street, you can actually find out
Yep.
how fast they were going and when it was.
Yes,
right?
we have an instant replay viewer, so we can go back in time and look at that. And one of my favorite ones was the bus cut me off and he was flying down the road, and I said, oh, let me look that up while I have you on the phone. And I followed the bus and didn't stop at the stop sign. I go, the bus is at the stop sign, still at the stop sign. Oh, okay, I gotta go. So it helps with,
Things
maybe
like that.
he cut the bus off and he was flying down the road.
You're
and,
right. Right.
when they know that you can do that.
Now, the buses are diesel,
Yes.
so they're a little loud.
Some of them.
Some of
We've
them.
downgraded the horsepower. It's an environmental thing. When the manufacturers had to meet stringent EPA requirements, they had to do things to the engine, the cooling fans that made them a little louder to pollute, no pollutants
Right.
coming out the
Right.
exhaust.
And you are not allowed, or it's your practice, the buses don't stop at stops and idle.
Correct.
So every now and then there's a complaint about that, but as far as I've seen, the drivers are very cognizant of turning the bus off when they're at a stop.
Well, the downtown stop.
The downtown stop.
Not along the route. The stopping is only picking up
at the
boarding.
hub
Yep.
stops.
Yep, we do. Federal regulation does enable diesel vehicles to idle for 5 minutes. We're cognizant of the community. We try to be good neighbors. We're providing a very important service to the community. It is a public transit system, so there are things that happen.
Yes.
But we do, drill it into all the drivers, to turn the buses off.
Yeah.
I think in a little study done on Sunday that the average time that the bus was on after entering the property was 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
8 seconds, so the
That
drivers...
doesn't sound like a long time.
No. Yeah.
Well,
And considering, too, that the bus has to be on for the fare box to idle up to be able to
Yeah.
be used, the destination signs to run their startup, and there's some issues that cost in operations for turning that off and turning it on.
air conditioning takes a while to
Yep.
get back
Then
up.
we get complaints that the buses
It's
are
too
hot,
hot,
but
yeah.
you're
And the
turning
windows
them
are closed.
off
Yeah.
and then letting them sit for how
You see,
long.
another thing, it's not as easy as it sounds. So I have a bus across from me at my office in front of the Whaling Museum, and I actually kind of, I'm not going to say I love the noise because I don't really love noise ever, but I like it because it's summer, and having the bus over there means that summer has started and it's fun and people are here, and so I kind of like my bus across the street. So as far as future service things go, we've talked about route expansion, we've talked about year-round service. How about late night service? Sometimes people ask about people getting off of bar shifts and things like that, and people just leaving bars and things late. Do you think we'll ever see that?
Well, a couple of years ago, we extended the service on the 3 busiest commuting routes, Sconset, Old South, Mid-Island, and Myacomet, so those buses operate until midnight now. Once you get a little later than that, it becomes third shift for drivers and and managers issues with that type of crowd that may occur on the bus, sensitivity to the taxi industry, taking away that business for them. But the midnight seems to work for a lot of the second shift workers, which was a concern with those folks driving into town and taking up parking spaces. They could come in on the bus, but they got out too late to take the bus home. So that helps with that a little bit.
Good.
So this will be our third summer operating through midnight.
Excellent. What's the weirdest thing you've ever found on the bus?
Weirdest thing I've ever...
You find stuff on these buses that people leave behind.
Yeah.
Probably find phones all the time. You can't say what it is.
I can imagine.
I can imagine too.
You can imagine.
If it's X-rated, don't say.
Yeah, there's a few X-rated things. We find a lot of phones, a lot of wallets. We make every effort to get those back to people as quickly as possible.
But without the cash.
No, always with the cash. We don't have any of those issues. We do a lot of chasing of lost and found. Monday mornings, I call myself the lost and found girl because there's quite a few calls of missing this and missing that. So if you
left something on the bus or you think you might have, would you can call, of course, but would you put it at the Greenhound office? Is that kind of where the things go?
Well, it depends on the time of day and what it is.
Okay.
Greenhound, when we started using that
what if
space.
It's your kid?
I had a call about people looking for their kids a number of years ago. Yep, that's when on Lost and Found, I was like, okay.
Was it Grace Gibson?
No, it wasn't. That was before Grace's time. But yes. The kids missed their stop, and the parents were expecting them, but the kids stayed on the bus. But they did call frantically, looking for their children.
Yeah.
I had a guy call that had been on island 2 or 3 years prior. Had taken the bus, and do I still have his Red Sox baseball cap?
From 3 years ago?
Nope. I get curtain rods.
Curtain rods?
Yeah, a lot of sunglasses and prescription glasses.
Curtain rods.
Some nice newly bought clothes that never seem to fit me.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, we get a wide.
The beach buses. So a little bit of a complaint I hear, and I don't know what you do about this, is that people getting on those beach buses sometimes are very sandy and wet, and they sit on their wet towels, and then the next person who comes along has to sit on a wet seat. But what do you do about that?
You do the best you can.
You do the best you can.
They know the driver will tell them. People
try to dry off before you get on.
Yeah. Well, we take 200 people out to the beach between say 10 and 2 or 10 and 3. And then they all want to be on the 5:40 coming back, the last bus.
That's a packed bus.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And we deviate the Maya Comet when there's still people waiting. We don't leave people
waiting.
Yeah.
What is the annual ridership?
We're up around 285,000 passenger boardings now.
Passenger boardings. Now, comparable to other seasonal shuttle systems, how do we rate with that?
I think we're higher. We're actually just looking at some of the systems, other RTAs in Massachusetts. We're higher than some of their year-round ridership.
We have, I would say, we have a very successful shuttle system here.
We do. Yep.
And thank you, because it's largely due to you.
Thank you.
Paula does not get the recognition that she deserves, because there's a lot of headaches with running a shuttle system, too, that people don't realize. Again, there's more to it than there appears to be.
And I try to keep in mind that why would someone not involved in it know all the different details?
True.
But there's, we're not just the wave. There's a whole administrative component. What's supposed to be my main job, but I get heavily involved in operations because we're a small system, small staff. But we have to comply with the same federal requirements that are this long as all the other regional transit authorities do. Civil rights, ADA, the new Freedom of Information,
the policies
open government.
that come out of Paula's office are mind-boggling. Really, the federal requirements and regulations are extensive, to say the least.
And then, in addition to the WAVE, we have the year-round demand response service that services elders and persons with disabilities, Your Island Ride. So.
We've come a long way since we had to count the money.
Yes.
By hand.
Yeah.
Over at the Mooney building.
Stacks of 4, rows of 10. Stick them in the quarter wrappers.
That took hours. You spent probably Saturdays counting that money.
7 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day, just doing that.
That
we have a much better system in place.
Yes.
And we have.
Can you just dump all the change into a thing and it gets counted?
Yep.
And the bills and stuff? Do you ever get weird money? You must get weird money.
Not anymore, because the fare box won't accept foreign coins. Or when we had the old style fare boxes that you just stuck the money in, we got a lot of ripped bills. People would rip their dollar in half, roll it up so the driver couldn't tell that it wasn't a whole dollar, and put it in. One point we matched up like 10 years worth of dollars with serial numbers and was able to take them to the...
Really?
Yeah, because if it's over a half of a bill, you can get credit for it.
Wow. That's interesting.
So a lot of car wash tokens, a lot of washers.
Yeah, washers. Oh, that's creative.
Yeah. Sticker, lollipop sticks that then stick to all the money.
I like when there's a fun message on the board thing as the bus is driving, like Happy 4th of July or Have a nice day or something like that.
Thank you for riding with us.
Thank you for riding with us. You should think of some funny messages that you could do every day.
Come July, I could think
You got
of
some
a few.
good ones? Yeah, well, clean. Keep it clean, Paula. Thank you very much for coming in. I have not taken my first ride yet, but I will. And the end of the summer, you can tell me how many times I rode the shuttle, because every time you use your pass, it registers, and so Paula can tell you who rode the shuttle, how many times, and when.
I can track you.
You can track me. It's Big Brother at work. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
See you soon.